Back on take 3 and what's happening in Maharashtra. Devendra Fadnavis at the CNN News18 town hall says, we witnessed, he says, I don't want to use the phrase, but it was Vote-Jihad, where a community or a group of people voted en masse in certain assembly constituencies, thereby influencing as many as 14 Lok Sabha seats. Then Ajit Pawar, another cog in the wheel of the Mahayuti, says, out of whatever seats we get from the 288 that we're going to fight in the Mahayuti, I will keep 10% for the minorities. That's his announcement. So on the one hand, Devendra Fadnavis highlights that collective mass voting against the BJP has happened. On the other hand, Ajit Pawar says, I will need the minorities, and I'm going to keep 10%. How do you read this?
You know, first of all,
Good cop, bad cop, or is there a problem?
No, I have a fundamental problem with the phraseology vote-jihad. I mean, jihad in the conventional sense has been that, you know, somebody takes a gun and then kills someone for whatever cause he or she believes in. In this case, what have they done? They've just exercised their democratic right, which is to vote, right? And in this free country, you can choose who you want to vote for and who you want to vote against. So what is the accusation here, that people of one community banded together and voted for a political party? I mean, is that the biggest?
Yeah. So that's what the numbers are showing.
So what's the crime?
So no, his claim is that it is irrespective of who the leader is.
Okay.
It was done with a particular agenda, and that agenda was not based on the work that was done. So out of, say, in a Lok Sabha constituency, there are 5 or 6 assembly constituencies. One assembly he spoke about Malegaon when he spoke with us. So he said in Malegaon, that one particular constituency, en masse decided that we are going to shift all our vote only the other way. We are not going to vote for the candidate.
At some level, isn't that a failure of the ruling party also? I mean, at the end of the day, those are also citizens of India. It's the job of the ruling party, the state, the government, to cater to their whatever interests, needs, welfare, etc. So at some point, I mean, what does Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas mean?
No, that point is there, Zaka, but here is what. Vote-Jihad was not something that's coined by Devendra Fadnavis. It came from the opposition, from the India Alliance members during the elections, and that was what was caught in Uttar Pradesh, where they said कि Vote-Jihad करना पड़ेगा. They came out and said कि Vote-Jihad से ही ये लड़ाई लड़ सकते हैं. So the angle that was presented was that you're waging a war or a sacrifice, or you got to do this so that you can prove a point and you can destabilize or do away with Modi. So it came from the India Alliance, this whole terminology of Vote-Jihad. Fadnavis is using it now. I'm just putting matters in context. The other thing is that the numbers, you have written page worths of what numbers have been contributed to who. 20%, 80-20 mein they get upset. But the point is 18 to 20% of the population has got nearly 27 to 30% of the benefits across the PM schemes or the central welfare schemes. So what is this logic here?
So look, there are two ways of looking at it. Obviously, I'm not been the type of person who has ever underscored love jihad or, you know, thook jihad or all these jihads. I don't believe in them. Call me naive, call me what have you, but I'm not going to go down that route. I've never endorsed it, never used these terms. The fact of the matter is that the term that was used should not have been used by a deputy chief minister. He could have said a lot without actually using those two words. Now, when I asked the BJP spokesperson, he said, well, it's convenient short form for what we want to say. But that's laziness, I think. What they're trying to say is that the opposition has fear-mongered to such an extent that you have a situation that is going back, harking back to the turn of last century, 1909, when you had a certain mentality foisted by the British state where you're going to have separate electorates. That means one community will only vote for their community member, and it was actually written in to the Government of India Act, and according to which you had, of course, elections. So in every constituency there was a Muslim candidate and, of course, general candidates. The Muslims only voted for Muslims. Now that led to a sort of two-nation theory. I think that is what is being thought to be conveyed. You can't blame the Muslim community for banding together. Whether it is being sort of corralled into doing so by the opposition or by the sheer suspicion, mistrust of what the NDA stands for, I can't say. But it is happening. There are visible signs. And of course, there are statistics. Aside from what you're saying, let me also give you some facts. There are 3 or 4 triggers. Many people say, oh, it's because, Muslims are never given representation by the BJP. That's not true, actually. The number is 17 over 3 general elections and 1 election in Rajasthan. 17 Muslims were given tickets by the BJP, all lost. You have a situation where in Bengal, the TMC brings in a Gujarati who they had been saying are Bohirgatus, referencing Modi and Shah. But they bring in a Gujarati, and who raises the red flag? It was Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary saying that, look, they have brought Yusuf Pathan, a Gujarati, just because he's a Muslim, to contest against me. What is the TMC trying to do here? That is what the BJP is trying to get at. That, look, you are sponsoring a kind of separate electorism, and which leads to a sort of separatism or a mindset which will eventually lead to a fissure.
No,
I think that is
what exactly is the criminality or the illegality?
There's no criminality. There's no criminality.
Voters, you, me, Anand, everyone
There is
has
no
the right
criminality.
to vote for whoever you want to
criminality-
vote for.
Flip it. If you say, jitni abadi utna haq, now
Okay.
tomorrow, just flip it.
Okay.
Tomorrow, if, and the BJP has sort of exercised its veto on not feeling, let's say, Muslim candidates, big problem, right? A lot of people said this is optically also obtuse. It should not happen. And therefore, you have the NCP today saying, no, I'm going to give 10%, you know. So the point is, what if you extend this logic where you are weaponizing demography? And I'm not saying that, you know, people don't have a right to vote in a particular way. I'm saying that a lot of times, a lot of people are pressured to vote in a particular way. They're scared of, you know, there's fear mongering that push to vote in a particular way.
You said weaponizing demography. Batoge to katoge. Isn't that
I'm
weaponizing
saying
demography?
it's all true. It is
so,
all true.
So it's kosher on that side.
Even when it comes, no, I'm not saying it's
So
kosher.
if it's not,
I'm
then-
not saying, I'm just trying to explain. I'm not justifying anything. I began by saying that I don't believe
So that's
that
that's
you should.
that's
we need
the,
to-
the,
no,
the,
Zach,
the
I'll tell
different
you,
side of the other. I mean,
Zach,
it's the other side of the same
Zach,
coin,
one
right?
second, very
but,
quickly,
but
very quickly.
one is feeding the other is what I'm trying
That's
to
what
say
I'm
now.
saying.
Who's
So-
to blame is not the point.
Yeah,
It's just
I'm
that
not,
as
I'm
one is
not
feeding the other.
villainizing any
is
one
feeding
group.
the other.
I'm trying to understand the psychology behind why this is being said in the manner it is in which it's being said. The manner I don't agree with at all. You shouldn't use, as a Deputy Chief Minister, Constitution post holder, words like vote jihad. But what are you trying to say is what I'm trying to understand. I think this is what
See,
the BJP is
it's
trying
not
to
even
say.
that.
It's trying to say that, look, there is a militarization of demography to be used in a cynical way, which is fundamentally undemocratic in a particular way. If you're organizing people on the basis
let me ask
of
both of you
fears
this. Let me ask you, if an individual, when
and
asked,
prejudice.
if an individual, ordinary citizen, when asked, what will you vote for or who will you vote for? So, and that person says, we've had lots of development. I've had light in my house. I've got my own house. I've got my child educated. I've got all the benefits. I'm a farmer. I've got all of this. So, well, who's given? Oh, the current disposition, whoever it is. But so who will you vote for? So we won't vote for them. So they say, why? Because they're a Hindu party. Now, what I'm saying is, should we allow such a mindset?
That's what I'm saying.
On the
That-
other
one-
hand,
one-
on the
one-
other
one-
hand,
one-
on the other
one
hand,
second. That's
like,
the issue.
let me also just put one. On the other hand, if somebody says, I will not vote for this candidate because he's a non-Hindu, he or she is a non-Hindu, that is also a problem. And that's not how we want our polity to work or our electorate to work.
I mean, that's a clear cleavage.
So if there is
in
there
society.
is this cleaving which is happening and it's manifest in the numbers, then is that not a concern?
No. By the way, this whole accusation against Muslims in certain constituencies in Maharashtra, it's not like all the candidates that were put up by the MVA were Muslim. There were non-Muslim candidates also that the Muslims
Correct.
voted for.
Correct.
Right. So it's more political than religious. Number one. Number two, this argument that सरकार ने हमें बिजली दी, हमें पानी दी, हमें सड़क और अस्पताल दी, that's the job of the state.
Correct.
मतलब कोई मतलब उधार नहीं दिया उन्होंने.
Correct.
It's not benevolence or charity that
No,
the
no, I
state is
agree.
doing.
But
If once again, if we are a welfare state, and obviously Mr. Modi's taken welfareism to another level, then it's the job of the state to give everyone, irrespective of religion.
Exactly. So
that doesn't mean you take the vote of the voter for granted, or the voter has to automatically give you just because you've given him light in electricity.
Nobody's taking
It
the
doesn't-
vote.
it doesn't work like
Nobody's
that.
taking the vote of the voter for granted, and the numbers show that there has been no. Everybody's got based on what their credentials are, and they've got what they deserve. So there has been no partisanship in terms of the doling out of the welfare schemes. It's not there. But if the mindset on ground shows that I will not vote for this guy because it is A, Modi, B, BJP, but I will vote for this guy even if this person does not do anything for me. So then, is there a problem? Is there a problem or not?
What about the other side of the argument, Anand?
correct.
I mean, when you're saying, when Rahul said weaponization of demography, What did the UP Chief Minister
Correct.
say? He said, "Batoge to katoge."
correct.
Isn't that weaponization
Yeah,
of
but
demography? He's also basically saying you vote because you're
But can we
Hindu,
not
right?
weaponize
That's-
demography? Caste is also, when you
Fair enough.
consolidate
Yeah,
around
you're-
caste,
see,
you're weaponizing
our
you
entire
vote for a
electoral
Jat, you vote for a
point is
Jatav,
that
you vote for a...
our
That's
entire,
all
no, one
right.
second, one second, one second.
our
No, no,
entire
one
electoral,
second.
our
There's
entire
nothing,
electoral
one second.
analysis
There's no
is
weaponization of
weaponized.
No, one second, please.
Is-
But our constitution doesn't allow you.
Our entire
No,
electoral
one second,
analysis
one second.
that way is
Just 1 minute,
weaponized.
please.
Oh,
Let me
yeah,
finish.
yeah.
Let me finish my point. See, caste consolidation is allowed in the name of social justice by the constitution, but religious consolidation to the externment of some other faith is not allowed. And I think we have to examine that very closely. Okay, there was a time, and let me tell you, my friends, that we do think about Dr. Ambedkar as having been someone who sort of took on caste Hindus, etc. But he also saved caste Hindus. We go back to the Pune Pact.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, you would have had actually reserved, seats for all the various castes, and we would have had an extremely sort of, fractured polity. So fundamentally, even he recognized that doing this is not good.
No, so now my
I am
point
only
is,
quoting Dr. Ambedkar.
I'm going to wind up on this fact that we all agree that whatever is happening is not healthy. Now, one can't say the other is not doing it, the other can't say this one is not doing it. Both are doing it, and it's not good for our politics. But more importantly, our voter is getting influenced. And that's really, really unhealthy and concerning. So the voters are also not able to, sift the wheat from the chaff there, and that's where we have a problem. Anyway, gents, thank you very much. Good edition of Take 3. I hope you also enjoy watching it here on the News 18 network.